Let the will of the people be done. But it's time to move on. There is no will, nothing. It's time to move on. We already have a precedent. It's time for us to move on. That's exactly what our leaders are telling us to do. Let us move on. We already have a precedent. That is the person of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has already inaugurated his people, his members, appointed his minister to set Nigeria straight to the future. Why taking us back? It's time for us to move on. That's exactly what our leaders are telling us to do. And a very popular Nigerian pastor, Pastor Paul, also said something about moving on, which I'm going to play you the video later. So Nigerians, are you ready and willing to move on? Move on away from Peter Obi and Atiku. Tomorrow is the day. Just in case you do not know, guys, tomorrow is the main day. Presidential Election Petition Tribunal to deliver verdict on Wednesday, September 6th, tomorrow. Today is 5th, Tuesday, and tomorrow is September 6th. And guess what? It seems like we already know what the judgment will be because they already stopped banking activities. Apparently stopped banking activities. And also, they have already placed security services in place. Well, I'm not saying. So let us just watch and see what will happen tomorrow. Whoever you are supporting, but let us see exactly what will happen tomorrow. Tomorrow is the day. And the leaders are telling us, move on. There is no need to set us back. We are already going to the next future of Nigeria. No need to come back. So Nigerians, are you willing to let go of Peter Obi, Atiku? Let me try to make this plainly to people who don't understand. The case between Peter Obi versus Tinubu or Atiku versus Tinubu, the election process, everything that was in court, Tribunal will give its verdict tomorrow. So the verdict that Tribunal will give, favorable or not favorable, of course, they must go to Supreme Court. That is something we are expecting. Favorable or not favorable, one party must proceed to Supreme Court. Well, Nigerians, are you ready? So I want you to give me your answer. I want to ask question, guys. What are you supporting? Do you think Peter Obi will win the tribunal case or not? Do you think Peter Obi will lose and they will say that there should be a rerun between between Atiku and Tinubu only? Or do you think there will be a rerun between Peter Obi, Atiku, and Tinubu? Or they will just declare Tinubu as the winner of the recently concluded presidential election? Let me know exactly the one you are going to support, the one you think will happen tomorrow. And again, I hear people clamoring for protesting. People are sharing videos of protests coming from other countries, like this one. As someone said, DSS issued a statement to instill fear in minds of Nigeria. Egypt saw more than this, but the former Egyptian president eventually succumbed to pressure from the people. So this guy shared a video from Egypt protest. Let's be completely honest, guys. Let's be completely honest. Is there any Nigeria protests that have gathered, like brought Nigeria closer to the point that we international body or CNN or any news channels and everything, we see like 1 million Nigerians gathered in one place because of protest? Have we ever saw such things before? Never. The highest, I don't think we have ever seen, the highest that Nigeria has ever saw was during the NSAS. and wasn't up to 10,000. Wasn't up to 10,000. You see the concert, Wizkid is hosting, Davido is hosting, Burna Boy is hosting, Asake is hosting, Rema is hosting. The people who come to that concert are way more than people who come out to protest in Nigeria. So many protests are politically motivated protests that involves money. If you do not have 1,000 naira to give each person or 5,000 naira, nobody is coming out to protest except during the NSAS. So I doubt if Nigeria can ever come up with this kind of numbers, say they want to protest. People will go to church, they have pastors they listen to. Do you know how divided Nigeria is? Do you know how divided when it comes to our wants, when it comes to our needs, and when it comes to our priorities? So divided. Everybody just have their own problem to face. Nobody will come out to say, oh, let us protest. Oh, don't I have school fees to pay? Don't I have my life to safeguard? No, that is the mentality of every Nigerian, of many Nigerians. So these numbers, these people saying that Egypt did it and Nigeria can do it, come on, man. It's not possible. Nigeria can never come out that number to protest. Say what? When they have their religious leaders they listen to. Don't you know the meaning of artificial poverty? They have their own belly to feed. It's already there. The mindset is already there. When you wake up, the next thing you struggle for is your next meal. Not protest. Next meal in the stomach. Not protest. So it's impossible. But the judgment might be favorable on behalf of Peter Obi tomorrow. Who knows? Or might be favorable to Atiku tomorrow. Who knows? Or might be favorable to Tinubu's tomorrow, to Tinubu team tomorrow. Who knows? Who knows? So let us, but whoever you are supporting, just keep your heart crossed and wait for tomorrow. Just wait for tomorrow. So, like Peter Obi said, no protest on his behalf. Then let's check out what Pastor Paul said about Nigeria moving on. He said Nigeria should move on. Nigeria should move on. Nigeria move on. And he also seemingly made references. I'm going to play you the video, guys. Just watch.
Samuel has invested so much prayer for nearly 28 years praying for Saul. Saul was doing well for a while, but he started to make the wrong turn. And he's still praying to God, God, please fix him. He even exhorts Saul, but Saul's not listening. And one day he's talking to God. God says, stop talking to me about the past. Because as long as you keep talking to me about the past, I can't talk to you about the future. And even if I did, you wouldn't hear me because you are consumed with the past. But Saul is still on the throne. He's still past. And he might be on the throne for another 14 years, but he's still past. I don't have to use the throne to bring a king into play. I don't have to win a battle through the king. I can win it through a boy. So stop talking to me about what is past. Some of you are so attached to something in your yesterday, and you want closure from God. You want closure from Saul. You're not necessarily going to get closure. You must now learn how to move on without having to have closure. Because if you have to have closure, it means that you need an explanation from God. And if you have to have an explanation from God, it means that you don't really trust God. So you can walk away from pain and saying, God, I don't need anybody to explain. I don't need anybody to say sorry. I trust you to deal with it. My job is to move on. Do you understand that? Because some of you, you're fighting somebody, you're not talking to them because they haven't made closure. And you haven't had your chance to tell them how ugly, how nasty, how wicked they are. How could they ever do that to you? I made up my mind a few days ago. I moved on. You can have your ugly ways about me. You can say all you want to say about me. You can toot and twerp and how do they say olofofo? I'm a ball. You say all you want to say. I don't have a beef with you. I've moved on.
He said it's time to move on. But David one day said, dear base character for the pastor in Kings of Boys, I promise nobody asks you. Plus, your family doesn't even live in Nigeria. So, of course, it's very easy for you to urge people to move on because you have no skin in the game. You corrupt, flaming as hell. That's coming from David, calling out this pastor, telling Nigerians to move on. It's time for us to move on. Forget about the past. Stop seeking for closure. Move on. Go forward. Because God will not answer you. God will feel like you are still dwelling in the past. It's time for you to move on. Nigeria politics, does it require moving on? Moving on in Nigeria politics, does it require that? You know, when our leaders loot, and they leave power, when we keep shouting that this guy have looted, we have to seize the money. So automatically, according to some pastors, just move on. Forget what they have looted. Move on. Forget what they have stolen. Move on. Forget the oil rig they have sold out. Move on. Forget your resources that they have sold out. Move on. Forget your life. Move on. Nothing about learning from your past. Just move on. Well, I do not know. Let me know exactly how you feel about that. Well, the talk is kind of like crazy though. Tomorrow is the day. Tomorrow is the day. And I came across this incredible video. I think most of you have definitely saw it, guys. It's about a church members praying, clamoring while walking through the rain. They are walking in the rain. It was rain. It's a rainy day. Praying, normally you see some members going out to share flyers and everything. Why the pastor and his family and the crews and crown of the church were chilling inside a SUV, their Jeep, their SUV car. The members were in the rain. Mother's father. Oh, let it be. I just saw my mother in that rain. I will say, Papa, Mama, that pastor will start giving you money from today. Kobo you won't get from me again. Pastor stay start SUV. Use this rain. They trek follow pastor for back. And we see. Religion, when people say religion this, religion that, it's just that some people, they are so massively enslaved. There are people who just want to be boy to people. They don't have any other thing to be doing. They want to be subjected to people's will. It's not about religion. It's just that we have most of all those kind of people in Nigeria. It's not about religion. Most of all those people are in Nigeria, unfortunately. Well, move on. That is the new slag for today. Move on. And also this news of a former NDDC madam who was appointed one of the chairman. That's the person of Lorati Onoche. Apparently, this woman was kicked out of her own house. According to some reporters, they said sacked NDDC board chairperson Lorita Unochia became stranded, homeless after fleeing to UK, embarrassed, kicked out by family members. I've been in since morning. I've not been home. Yeah. He just kissed me. That's disgusting. Yeah, myself. They kicked her out, apparently. Apparently, they kicked her out. I don't understand. Well, I can't really believe this news. If it was scripted or not, that woman is a very trickish, funny woman. So I will hardly believe such news, honestly. If she was actually kicked out, running to UK, getting kicked out. Who are they telling that to? Well, let's forget about that. Thank you very much for watching the boy again, Adamslink. Have a wonderful day, stay blessed. Let's wait for tomorrow, guys. Hold your peace.